there, ready to dive into something truly fascinating.
Absolutely.
Today, we're exploring aging.
Okay.
Not just in humans,
Right.
but across the entire animal kingdom.
Wow.
We've got this research paper analyzing DNA methylation data from 348 mammal species.
Oh, wow.
And it turns out
Yeah.
there are some surprising connections between things
yeah.
like physics and how we age.
Really?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
It's fascinating how they've managed to link the fundamental principles of energy and entropy to the biological processes of aging.
Hold on, physics and aging.
Yeah.
I thought those were separate worlds.
Well, at the end of the day,
Yeah.
biology still has to obey the laws of physics, right?
Right.
This research digs deep into how those laws, particularly those about energy and entropy, actually influence how our bodies age.
All right, I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
So this research starts by talking about allometric scaling and growth.
Okay.
Like how a massive elephant needs way more energy than my tiny chihuahua just to exist.
Exactly. And it all comes down to Kleiber's law.
Kleiber's law.
Yeah. It basically states that an animal's metabolic rate scales with its size in a very specific way.
Okay.
The energy needed for an animal to grow and function isn't directly proportional to its size.
So you're telling me that my chihuahua isn't just a miniature Great Dane.
Exactly.
Her size actually dictates how much energy she needs at a fundamental level.
That's exactly right.
Wow.
A large portion of an animal's energy is dedicated to growth, especially in its younger years.
Okay.
But as it grows,
Yeah.
that balance shifts.
Interesting.
More and more energy is needed for maintenance, for simply keeping everything running.
Yuck.
Eventually, it reaches a point where there's not enough energy left over for growth, and that's where growth stops dictating the animal's maximum size.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like when you're a kid, you're constantly growing and changing.
Right.
But as you get older, your body focuses more on just keeping things running smoothly.
Precisely. And this leads us directly into the concept of entropy and damage.
So this damage accumulation you're talking about. Yeah.
Is that where the concept of entropy comes in?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
In simple terms, entropy is the tendency for things to become more disordered over time.
Got it.
Think of it like wear and tear on a car.
Okay.
Even with perfect maintenance.
Yeah.
Eventually, parts wear out.
Right.
Similarly, our bodies, just by functioning, accumulate tiny errors at the molecular level.
Uh-huh.
That's entropy at play.
So are you saying that this kind of damage buildup is basically inevitable? Just a side effect of being alive?
Unfortunately, yes. This damage accumulates over time, and as this research suggests, it's directly linked to aging.
Wow. It's kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
But also pretty amazing when you consider how intricate our bodies are.
I know, it's fascinating.
But if this damage is happening at a molecular level,
Yeah.
how did the researchers actually measure it?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
They looked at DNA methylation patterns
Okay.
and identified a specific damage signature.
This allowed them to actually quantify the rate of damage accumulation, which they called DAR.
DAR in different
Yeah.
species.
Wait.
They can actually see the damage happening in our DNA.
That's right.
That's incredible.
It is pretty amazing.
So what did they find when they compared DAR across different species?
They found that DAR is inversely proportional to both the development time of the species
Okay.
and the rate at which its cells and tissues renew themselves.
So does that mean creatures that develop quickly and have high cell turnover like mice
Exactly.
age faster?
Yes, exactly.
Oh, wow.
And on the flip side, animals with longer development times and slower cell renewal, like elephants, tend to age more slowly.
That's fascinating.
It is, isn't it?
So I've got this damage accumulating, which leads to aging.
Right?
And it seems like animals with slower development and cell renewal rates age more slowly.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still really curious about this whole effective temperature idea.
Yeah.
How does that fit into all of this?
That's where things get even more intriguing. Effective temperature might sound like something you'd measure with a thermometer,
right.
but it's actually a much broader concept. It's all about understanding the inherent noise
Right.
or fluctuations within biological systems.
Okay, I'm all ears. It's still a little mind-bending to think about temperature in that way.
Yeah, it's a bit of a leap.
Yeah.
Imagine a symphony orchestra.
Okay.
For the music to sound harmonious,
Yeah.
all the instruments need to be playing together in sync.
Right. But what happens if someone's a little off-key?
Exactly.
Or if a violin string snaps in the middle of a performance?
Those unexpected events would disrupt the harmony and create noise
Okay.
in biological systems.
Uh-huh.
These off-key moments are happening all the time at a molecular level.
Oh, wow.
Molecules bump into each other.
Yeah.
Reactions occur at slightly different rates, and signals get a little mixed up.
Right.
This creates a certain amount of inherent variability or wiggle room in how biological processes play out.
So effective temperature is like a measure of how much wiggle room there is in an organism's systems.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay.
And what's remarkable is that the researchers identified this single factor, effective temperature, that seems to affect the variability of many different biological pathways.
So this one factor has a pretty broad impact on how our bodies function.
Yes.
That's a big deal, right?
Absolutely. And it has some very interesting implications for how we age.
Okay.
Remember the Gumpert's law we talked about earlier?
The one that says our risk of dying increases exponentially as we get older.
That's the one.
Yeah, the not-so-fun fact of life.
The not-so-fun fact of life. That's right.
Yeah.
Well, this research found a direct link between effective temperature and how quickly that mortality rate accelerates.
Okay, so the higher the effective temperature,
yes,
the faster the mortality rate goes up with age.
Exactly.
Well, that's a cheery thought.
It's not the best news.
But seriously, does this mean our aging schedule is basically set in stone?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Remember, effective temperature doesn't change the maximum lifespan.
Okay.
It affects the shape of the survival curve.
The shape.
Yeah, a high effective temperature means a steep early decline.
Okay.
While a lower effective temperature means more gradual squared off curve.
So if we could figure out how to lower our effective temperature, would we actually slow down aging?
Not necessarily slow down aging itself, but we could potentially extend the amount of time we spend in good health.
Okay.
It's like compressing those health issues that come with aging into a shorter period toward the end of life.
So it's less about living longer and more about staying healthier for longer.
Exactly. That's why targeting effective temperature could be a powerful way to extend health span.
Health span.
That period of life where we're generally healthy and active.
Okay, I need to wrap my head around this.
I know, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, we've got damage accumulating, which leads to aging.
Right.
And this effective temperature is influencing how that whole process unfolds. But how does this all connect back to what we see in DNA methylation patterns?
That's where this research gets even more fascinating.
Okay.
The researchers dug deeper into the distribution of energy barriers that protect against damage in our DNA.
Okay.
They found something really interesting.
Oh.
They discovered that these energy barriers follow a specific pattern called the Gumbel distribution.
A Gumbel distribution.
Yeah, have you heard of that before?
What does that even mean?
The Gumbel distribution basically tells us that aging isn't a perfectly smooth, predictable process. It's more like a game of chance, where rare, unpredictable events can have a big impact on our health.
Oh, wow.
Imagine a chain with many links.
Okay.
Even if most of the links are strong.
Yeah.
The chain strength is determined by its weakest link.
So aging is less like a slow, steady decline and more like a chain reaction, where one weak link breaking can trigger a cascade of problems.
Precisely. And what's really interesting is that this Gumbel distribution pattern shows up not just in DNA methylation data, but also in other areas of physics and engineering.
So there's this underlying mathematical principle that connects aging to all sorts of seemingly unrelated fields.
It really speaks to the fundamental nature of aging and how it's governed by these deep universal laws.
Wow.
But we're only just beginning to explore the implications of this kind of research.
Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah, we have.
From the physics of energy and entropy to this fascinating idea of effective temperature. And these Gumbel distributions, it's clear there's a lot more to aging than meets the eye.
Absolutely.
So where do we go from here? What does all this mean for our understanding of aging and for the future of healthcare?
It's important to remember that this research is still in its early stages.
Right.
We're just starting to piece together the complex puzzle of aging.
Yeah.
But this knowledge opens up some really exciting possibilities for future interventions.
So are you saying that someday, instead of just treating age-related diseases after they occur, we might actually be able to target the root cause of aging itself?
Exactly. And the concepts of effective temperature is a perfect example.
Okay.
If we can find safe and effective ways to lower our effective temperature, we could potentially delay the onset of those age-related diseases and live healthier for much longer.
That's an amazing prospect.
It is.
But what about those rare high-impact events?
Yeah.
The ones that follow the Gumbel distribution. Can we do anything about those?
Those are trickier.
Okay.
Because they're rare and unpredictable.
Yeah.
They're harder to target.
Right.
But this research gives us a new way to think about them.
Okay.
It suggests that resilience, the ability to bounce back from those events, is crucial.
So maybe the focus should be on strengthening our systems as a whole, making them more robust and less susceptible to those inevitable weak links.
Precisely. That could involve a combination of approaches, lifestyle changes, dietary interventions, maybe even new pharmaceuticals that enhance our natural repair mechanisms.
This is all pretty mind-blowing.
It is pretty amazing stuff.
It feels like we're on the verge of a new era and understanding.
Yeah.
And potentially even manipulating the aging process.
Absolutely.
But realistically, are we really close to a major breakthrough?
It's an exciting time to be in this field, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But we also need to be realistic.
Right.
Aging is complex, and there's no magic bullet.
Okay.
However, through continued research and collaboration across different disciplines, we can gain a deeper understanding of aging and potentially even change the way we age.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the science of aging, I want to leave you with something to think about.
Okay.
If we could lower our effective temperature, extend our health span, and essentially reimagine aging, what would that mean for us?
That's a great question.
Would we simply live longer, or would we experience aging in a fundamentally different way? It's something to ponder as we keep exploring this fascinating topic. Until next time, keep diving deep.